You never know, right? Like, I don't really pay attention to what other people are doing or the space or how it's changing or, if other people are upping their game. I just look at it as like, what could I do to delight people? I think about audiences and groups of people as what can you do to delight them and knock their socks off and help them out so much? A lot of times just comparing yourself to the industry or your competition makes you copy them instead of figuring out where's everything going and how can you just provide them that solution today and instead of making them wait.
Aloha and welcome to the Groundswell Marketing Podcast, where I connect you with outstanding humans and sustainable ideas. Today's guest is Neil Patel, one of the top digital marketers in the world. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock or something, you should know who he is. And if you don't, well, just Google him. I mean, the guy is pretty much everywhere, understands all the platforms, and is who most marketers follow to get sort of what's going on and new sort of strategies in terms of like how to adapt to the different algorithms and the different techniques and the different platforms. We go in everything from social media, content, to branding, and couldn't be more honored to have him on as a guest. Deep respect for Neil Patel, and let's just jump into the episode. Without further ado, let's paddle in. Aloha, and welcome to another episode of the Groundswell Marketing Podcast, where I connect you with top experts in marketing and business. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into social media, SEO, digital marketing, growth hacking, whatever direction we can take it with today's guest, who's basically a digital marketer, expert, Jedi, I would say like Yoda of marketing and digital, Neil Patel. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm so grateful and honored that you could give us some of your time to go through some Q&A and talk and just share with us some of the direction that you think digital is going. So why don't I start with one first question? What are you most excited about right now?
Sure. What I'm excited about right now is like machine learning. I believe the world is changing at a such rapid pace. You can use things like machine learning to make data better, make technology better, make everything in life better. You start combining machine learning, artificial intelligence, things like that. We're going to have such more of an advanced world in the future, and that's going to affect marketing in a drastic way. Like your fridge eventually is going to be like, Neil, you're out of milk. Have you tried silk milk? It tastes very similar to normal milk. It's X% more nutritious or has more calcium, and it's half the price. And then Google or Facebook will be powering up the ads you watch.
That's pretty crazy and amazing at the same time. How long do you think this is going to take before that's a reality?
I think within a few years.
Wow, that's fast. Is it because of the massive adoption that's going on with voice?
Yeah, the world's moving fast. Like, just think about how fast things are changing. Dude, in Uber, on their website, they're talking about how within 5 years, you should be able to go around in a air taxi. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
I'm just like, there goes the concept of drivers and all of this. I'm like, wait, this is so much better and convenient.
It is amazing. It's one of the things that I think frustrates a lot of marketers and business owners and entrepreneurs is the rate of change. And before I kind of talk about specifics about changes in certain things like Google or whatever, is there like a process that you go through that allows you to really, because you're really always on top of it and you're always open to change and you're trying new things. Is there something you can do to share with either principles or process to really help you identify what changes to put energy toward?
I look at low-hanging fruit. So things always change. You got to experiment and figure out where you need to adapt to get the best results. There always is no direct answer, easy answer. That's also what makes SEO and things like that very hard to do and compete when it comes to other people.
Well, I feel like Google SEO is like whack-a-mole. I always feel like I'm just one or two steps behind. It just changes so fast.
Yeah, it changes really fast.
So what can someone do when it comes to Google and SEO that's like sustainable so that you know that the fundamentals are there? I think I heard in one talk you did or speech, it was something about brand. And you're saying really that's the one thing that you can kind of like really zero in. Did I hear that correctly? Or
Yeah, branding is like the thing that helps you with marketing, SEO, paid ads. It helps you with everything, every channel out there. And think of it this way. If you were to buy shoes, what kind of shoes would you buy? What brand?
personally, Vans,
Okay. If you want to go to for a credit card, where would you go to sign up?
my bank,
Okay. What kind of credit card would you choose? What brand?
MasterCard,
Cool. If you wanted to buy a car, what kind of car would you want to buy today?
Porsche 911 Targa.
All right. So would you Google for most of those things, or are you just good to go?
I'm good to go.
That's the power of branding. When people want sports shoes, they tend to get what brand?
Right. Very good point. So
Right?
really,
You're going to go get Nike. It's not like you're Googling, I want running shoes or sports shoes. Like you already know the major brands, so you're just going to go after them.
okay.
That's what you're going to purchase from. So you need to make sure that you're building a brand, because that's what helps you in the long run. You know, Nike didn't build their business by being like, we're number one on Google. Don't get me wrong, that helps, but it doesn't make you a multi-billion-dollar company. Facebook's not a billion-dollar company because everyone Googles for Instagram. They naturally go and use an app. Pinterest gets more search traffic than Instagram, right? Instagram's app. Would you agree with that statement?
I don't know.
Well, Instagram doesn't really rank on Google like Pinterest.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Because you can backlink it into content.
Exactly. You can't really do that with Instagram because it's an app.
Right.
Right? So, and it's a mobile app specifically. It's not a desktop app. Yet Instagram does extremely well. And it's one of the most popular social sites, and it's more popular than Pinterest. But yet, Instagram doesn't have rankings. They built a good product. They built a brand. And that's what I mean, in which I know so many more people who use Instagram than they use Pinterest all around the world. And that just shows the power of branding. You need to build a brand, a good product, a good service. You don't want to just rely on marketing channels.
So let's quickly talk about what constitutes a good brand.
So,
and we're not talking Mikey. I'm thinking of like the average entrepreneur that's got a small business startup, or a company that, struggles with being a Nike. They want to become a brand. So what are the steps that they can do to really underscore and support the brand they're trying to develop?
Yeah, so if you want to create a good brand, it's just creating a good product, good service, good content. You just have to keep pushing out great information over time, and that helps build a good brand. I look at a good brand and building one as just providing a ton of value to people. When you provide enough value, people are like, oh, cool, sounds good.
Right, and then they just recognize that that's a place they want to go for that to purchase, because you've been delivering and communicating, and they feel like you're pretty core to that audience.
That's correct, yes. So
what channel do you think right now is on the rise? Like which one is maybe it's not most people's radar, or maybe it is, but it's just sort of sleeping giant.
So what channels are on the rise? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, exactly. Like is there a channel that you're kind of like keeping your one eye on right now that you think is a sleeping giant?
No, I think they're all saturated.
Yeah.
I would say there's content types that aren't saturated yet, video and audio, but the channels that leverage them, Facebook, YouTube, all those are quite saturated.
Right. So let's talk about video then. What are you most excited about videos? Are you thinking live video or just video content? I know you are so strong in this area. Can you maybe help somebody kind of understand, like how they could apply that?
Yeah, I would just go to what is it called? I would just go to take video, create it, and upload it to all the major social platforms out there, and just reuse and repurpose as much as possible.
And what kind of video content do you think is working the best right now?
Anything that's educational.
So solving a customer
problem.
Like
those humor ones that like the Logan Pauls and Jake Pauls do, I don't think that's going to help much for businesses, but educational stuff will.
Right. And what about live video? Where do you see? I know that LinkedIn's looking at releasing live video. It looks interesting.
Yeah, I think live video is awesome. It works well. LinkedIn's doing it. You can submit an application currently. Hopefully they start approving people. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, they all do it. I was live on Instagram today. It all works well.
Awesome. So going forward, if you think about where's digital marketing going, you kind of went right to the Internet of Things and stuff. between now and there, what is sort of the trajectory or sort of the progression as you see things where somebody can really look at, hey, here's sort of where we need to make sure that we're following through in these areas. So we say video. Is there anything else that you kind of recommend help somebody guide them in that right direction?
You're saying other than, I'm a bit confused. So you're saying like someone's trying to create video. How can they get the right direction or what they should be doing with the video?
Yeah, pardon me. Let me re-clarify. So what I'm suggesting is, what would somebody do if they're going, look, I want to make sure I'm staying abreast of the changes that are occurring outside of adding video to the mix? Is there other things that they could be doing or they're paying attention to right now, either if it's channel specific or just in general activity that would just make sure that they're kind of moving along as the changes in digital move?
There isn't anything specific, and here's why I say that is every industry is different. So if you're going after B2B, it's totally different than B2C. If you're going after YouTube, it's totally different than how you would do video on Instagram. And the sad reality is these platforms are releasing the content, adjust their algorithms on the whim whenever they want to be in their favor or in whatever way that benefits them or even their users because they want to provide a better user experience. And because of that, there's no simple way of saying this is what you do or this is how you stay on top of it other than just reading what's happening.
Or following you, because you've definitely kept abreast of most of these changes and you're really giving away a lot of that content for free. Is that in itself, I kind of view what you're doing as a bit of a strategy. It's just like you're continuing to press forward with giving a lot of really extreme value as a core sort of tenet of what you do. At least that's what I see.
Yeah, no, and that's worked for me. And that's what I do with other spaces. And that's where I got it from, right? So if I want to keep up to date with technology, I follow TechCrunch and all these other sites and I keep reading what they're doing and what they're talking about, what other companies are doing. I listen to podcasts to see what my competition's doing or people in the space. I go to conferences, but it's a combination of everything that helps you stay on top of the game and make sure that you're doing the best out there.
So one of the really cool things that I've seen from you as I've been following you is that you come up with these apps. You've got a new one that I think you just come out with Uber. Sorry, it just was me. Uber Suggest, I think it is.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, Uber Suggest. I wish I created Uber though.
Yeah, totally. And Uber Suggest, maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Uber Suggest is a free SEO tool, and it helps you get rankings better in Google. And it does all for free. You can type in a keyword. It shows you what's popular, how many searches it gets per month, who's ranking, how many backlinks they have. It shows you, how many visitors your competitors get, what keywords they rank for, their top pages. Has a whole backlinking report that shows you backlink data on any website, domain, URL, subdomain. It pretty much does what most SEO tools do that cost money, all for free.
So all for free.
Well, by doing it all for free, it helps people, the underdog, do better. And I'm like, why do I got to charge for it? I lose a lot of money, sadly. One day I may have to charge for it, but that's not my goal. I want to ideally keep it for free.
See, that's the essence that I think is what I look at your success. And I think it's like, I look at your generosity and you're giving, like you're building an app just to help other people be successful. And it's a kick-ass tool. And there's other tools that I've seen you do is like, are you making these tools because you scratch your own itch and you go, wow, this would be really useful to helping other people? And you just feel that that's just kind of rising the tide of all the ships?
I hope so, but you never know, right? Like, I don't really pay attention to what other people are doing or the space or how it's changing or, if other people are upping their game. I just look at it as like, what could I do to delight people? I think about audiences and groups of people as what can you do to delight them and knock their socks off and help them out so much? A lot of times just comparing yourself to the industry or your competition makes you copy them instead of figuring out where's everything going and how can you just provide them that solution today and instead of making them wait.
So it's basically swimming your own swim lane, charting your own course, your own North Star.
Correct.
So what else are you sort of like charting forward? Like what's sort of new and what are you kind of focused on going forward in terms of this philosophy?
So, and we're doing a live event. You're talking about the marketing school.
Yeah,
live,
exactly.
Correct?
And you're doing it for free, which I've never even heard before. And like, I'd happily pay.
Yeah, no, I believe in just providing value. I'm like the pauses. I'm like looking on my calendar, trying to find the exact date for it. And I'm like, when are we doing this free event? I know it's in June, but I'm like, I do not know. I'm like, where is it in my calendar? And I still can't
That's
find
okay.
it. For
Well,
some reason.
I could put it in the show notes afterwards. So if you just look in the show notes,
There you go. It's on June
oh, June
29th.
29th.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the point is, it's like if you just keep giving back, I believe it all works out. And if you don't give back, that's fine too. There's so many people that make way more money and they don't give back. But you just got to figure out what the right approach is for you, and it's different for everyone. I like educating, giving information, helping people out. It's just, again, it's different for everyone.
Very zen. Like, where did you adopt this? Like, is this something that you learned from your parents, or is it a philosophical thing? Like, how did you develop this? Like, I know it's part of your DNA now, but did it come from somewhere?
Yeah, it was from a guy that I worked with for so many years, my brother-in-law, Heathen Shaw.
Okay. And what did he do? He just sort of shared that idea with you, and you adopted it, or?
Yeah, he believes in karma. His dad does. He always believes in paying it forward and doing what's right, and it's a good way to live life.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like I really think that there's more to be said about energy and these type of things in marketing than maybe a lot of marketers realize. Two guests that I'm looking at bringing on are really unconventional for marketing. One is Master Co. He's an energy healer and does a course called Kriya Shakti, which is around prosperity, and Guru Singh, who I'm also talking about mindful marketing and compassionate commerce, because I just see that this is really an opportunity for marketers to do good. And the good news is it actually works in terms of a marketing strategy. Would you agree?
It works exceptionally well as a marketing strategy.
So why aren't more people doing it?
They don't want to put in the time and effort. Like, look what you're doing with this podcast. It takes time. It's not easy.
I know. And it gets giving so much back to me. I mean, the fact that I get your time and I can ask the questions I've wanted to ask, and I can, connect with you and then share this with other people. To me, that's like, I mean, there's nothing in it for me, but other than this is really exciting. It gets me in the mix. But my bigger mission is to help marketers do good and to highlight best practices, and ideas that are sustainable, or methodologies that are really congruent with their values. And I see what you've been doing. You were one of the top people I wanted to talk to, because I just see total congruency. Like, I just see your values, your voice, your attitude when you're on all your programs. You're just giving, and I think that a lot of people don't make the connection that they can do that.
They can. Anyone can. You just got to go out there, put in some time and effort, and trust me, it's not that hard. It just takes a lot of work, and it's consistent. Again, just because something's not hard doesn't mean people aren't going to do it. It's more so, just because something's hard doesn't mean that it's easy, from the aspect that everyone's going to do it. Because even when things are easy, and if they require too much time from people, they're like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's too much work.
That is what separates the wheat from the chaff. I mean, that effort, but consistent effort. And one of the things that, I've been saying is basically patience is the new growth hack. You just really got to play through with these strategies. And I don't know what your thought is, but I see a lot of businesses sort of zig and zagging with their strategies. They don't let things kind of take hold and build up sort of trust with their audience, with what they're providing.
Yeah, and if you can keep providing and educating and building that trust, it's so much easier to convert those people into customers down the road.
So what do you think are some of the ways, like a business is going, look, I want to build trust. I'm going to make content that's valued. Are there other things they can do to build trust? Because I think that is the currency right there. Attention, it comes and goes. It shifts from different channels, but trust is something that's quite different. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I agree. Trust is the best way to build up trust is just put people first and don't worry about your selfish need to close a deal, generate revenue, sell them on anything. Whether that's whatever it means. Could be helping them out even though they're working with your competitors. Like, if you seriously just put people first, it does wonders. And there's no simple way to build trust, like do this tactic. The strategy, though, that is simple and it works is you do what's best for others, even if it's not best for you.
Well said. So, in addition to trust, like in strategy, if a business is going, okay, I need to sell this to my CEO, I need to sell it through this organization, is, it can't just be up to marketing. Like what I'm hearing from other marketers is that really culture is a big part, people first in the organization. If you just think it's just going to be a marketing tactic one person does, it's just not going to work. Would you agree to that, or would you want to expand on that?
I would agree to that. So you hit the nail on the head.
So how do you think you can create that across an organization? What do you think because I would guess that you've done that. I mean, I can just see your brand is so consistent.
Yeah, but I haven't done it through every single person that's worked for me, right? I still don't know the answer on how to push it through across a whole organization. You can try, but it is very hard to do. I don't honestly know how to do it throughout a whole company. It's easy to do it when you're small, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Once you start getting to the hundreds or thousands of people that work for you, it's not the same. And again, just being blunt and honest, I don't know the exact solution on how to do that in a big organization.
Right. Fair enough. I mean, as you get bigger, there's just like your impact, your direct impact sort of isn't the same. But interestingly enough, like with social media, in some ways, the CEO of large organizations has never been more accessible, where you could literally just, do a direct message on social to them, and not being sort of disruptive in the organization. So there's so many different things that I think that are enabling this new sort of like mindset around having the culture be more present and forward and congruent. So do you think there's some strategies that you could recommend where the people are actually creating content? And what are some of the, challenges, or if there is any, when you have like more than just say one or two people producing content?
Yeah, I like it when an organization participates, because when you bring more people on board, then you can see multiple people's perspectives, get people involved. I think that helps shift the culture as well. But it's hard to do as well, and the reason being is some people aren't good at creating content, whether it's text-based or video or audio. Some people don't want to either. Some people are introverts. So it's just something that we all have to think about.
Right. So do you just like ask people to raise their hand, or it's just part of a job description you typically see?
Yeah, we just ask people to raise their hand and then go from there. We don't like forcing anyone.
Yeah, of course. So growth hacking is sort of kind of come of term. Sean Ellis with his hacking growth, and that's sort of the term that most people are interested in. And I know that if, both reading the book and being at the growth hacking summits, they definitely view it, and I view it as ongoing experimentation. But there's a bit of I guess you could say sort of, people view it as short-term tactics. And I was wondering if you could kind of either dispel that, or is growth hacking the right word? And that's really throwing people off, and they should really looking at ongoing evolving tactics and strategies.
Yeah, no, I don't think growth hacking is throwing people off. It's just being creative on how you figure out how to grow a business. And it's not always marketing. Sometimes you can grow a business by just having better support and answering people's questions and being more on it. There's many ways to grow a company, and it's not always driving more traffic or increasing sales.
Love it. Do you have an example of a company that you've seen do that?
Yeah, I know one company. It's a financial services company. I can't mention them, but they've decreased churn by having faster response times. And sadly, the financial companies are very strict. But they now end up doing it where they move their support to 24/7 support, 24-hour support. And they do it 7 days a week, and they don't outsource it overseas. They try to provide a better experience. This costs them more money, but people tend to stick with them longer. Their LTV increased, which helped increase revenue. Their costs went up as well. I don't know what happened to their profit, just being upfront, but I do know their LTV increased.
See, that's awesome. See, I think that's where marketers can start looking for those unique opportunities instead of battling, say, an SEO, is looking at where in their operational impacts can make the customer experience richer and create more word of mouth. Yeah. I just had Jay Bear on the show, and we had an in-depth discussion about this. What's your thought on your customer experience?
It's huge. Look at Zappos. Zappos tries to delight you. They're one of the first people to really provide amazing online customer experience. And they would even give you like next day air shipping for free. And it made Zappos a much bigger company at a faster rate. And all this has really helped them, right, grow. And now it's owned by Amazon. But still, you get the point in which this kind of stuff really does help.
Is there a way to do that on, say, a social channel? Or is it an operational interaction? Like, can you create that kind of delight in social interaction in some way?
You may be able to. I haven't done much of it, so I'm not 100% sure, but there's probably people who have done it and it's done well for them.
Well, I did one thing that I just did because I looked at my top, historically my top followers and most ones that like and follow most of my content, and I just direct messaged them and did a voicemail for them and just thanked them. And the response I got was like, I was like, why I didn't think of doing that sooner? They just gave me such a great response back.
That's awesome.
So do you have any really interesting stories or ideas of demonstrating either companies or yourself where they tested doing something where they were giving, not asking for anything in return, but then they got a really large impact, economic or attention or otherwise, as a result of that effort?
So someone who created a large impact by giving and how it's helped them grow, in essence?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the glasses company, you probably know Warby Parker.
Yeah.
There's also Tom shoes. So I'm like, those could be good examples.
I don't know the story. Do you want to kind of maybe articulate that?
Yeah. So like with Warby Parker, their social good and giving is every time they create a pair of glasses for you, they create it for someone else who needs it and can't afford one.
So that creates a bit of a connection with your audience where it's hitting a human need. Which is,
and your audience knows it, so when they buy, they know they're also helping someone in need. So it creates a social impact, makes them want to rep your brand, sport it, because they're also causing good for the world too.
See, I love that. Then there's this new rise of social enterprises. There's a company in Calgary called Common Good, and what they did was they competed on the napkin laundry business for restaurants. And what they did was they actually employ people from the homeless shelter, and that's their model. And they just had really aggressive contracts. They just had just regular contracts. I guess the industry has a lot of lock-in contracts, and they just wanted to shake up the industry. And now they're blowing up, and the restaurants really want to support them because they see that as a form of really giving back, and it's part of their brand and so forth. And I think I'm seeing a rise of more social enterprises. Are you kind of like working with any companies like that, or do you have any stories like that?
No, we don't have any examples, and we haven't worked with a ton yet, sadly, but hopefully that'll change over the future.
Right on. Well, it's like mostly you're just saying just an overall, just, grow by giving as opposed to grow by acquiring, if you will.
Exactly.
So in the age of audio with Google Smart Audio, what do you see as how are you going to be able to get the brand if somebody doesn't already establish a brand in audio? Because if Google is searching and you're going, shoes, sure, Nike. But if you're in a different industry that doesn't quite have that brand recognition, how do you anticipate a business can prepare for that?
Well, you don't have to worry about it to that large extent if you're in an industry that doesn't have the brand recognition. You just need to have a better and bigger brand than your competitors. Remember, it's not just about having
That's a good point.
A big brand. You just have to do it more than your competitors, right?
Right.
That's who you're competing. You're not competing with Nike.
Right. So if you're local dry cleaning, you just need to be able to found better or remembered better than all the rest of the dry cleaning companies in your local city or something.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So in the digital marketing, landscape, is there a social channel that you like the most right now that you feel is really hot?
They're all doing well. You have to take an omni-channel approach and just be on all of them. It's not one or another. It literally is all of them.
Yeah, I think it's like a big ecosystem, one playing off the other. Are you looking at any up and coming channels that are really mainstream that you think might be up and comers, like TikTok or something like that? Like,
we're looking at them, but until they really, really blow up, we don't get involved in them too much. And the reason being is there's too many ones that go in and out, so we wait for them to be popular.
Yeah, like look what happened with Vine. That was actually somewhat mainstream, but
even Snapchat, it's still mainstream. The stock does well, but they've been crushed by Instagram.
Yeah, well, and Instagram keeps adding features to kind of elbow everybody else out. So, what can somebody do? Is like email marketing is the thing that I kind of point people to is making sure that you're really trying to get a subscription so that you can not be reliant on social channels. Do you have any strategies like that are really about sustainability so that, I'm looking for help businesses so they can control to as best they possibly can their economic situation?
Yeah, no, you got to just take an omni-channel approach. That's the only way to get as much control in your hands, whether that's push notifications, emails, social media, SEO, paid advertising. Sadly, to some extent, you're not going to be fully in control or have it your way. But if you take an omni-channel approach, it'll increase your odds.
Pinterest, are you doing much on Pinterest at all? I noticed that they had communities and then they took it away. They seem to be, I don't know what they're doing right now, but I like when I'm getting for inbound links for some of the programs that I am doing Pinterest on. But nobody really talks about them. I just kind of feel like they're an interesting social channel, and I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah, no, we found that to work really well. Pinterest is great. Their ad system is amazing. The issue with Pinterest, there's just not a ton of inventory. Like, no matter how much you spend, you can't keep getting more and more traffic, sadly.
Right. And what about like Twitter? And, do you see that as being a channel that's, is it sort of stagnant? Is it good under certain categories of business?
Yeah, Twitter's great. We just find that the ads are really expensive and the organic reach isn't as good as we would like.
So how much, like, if you were to split up, like, how much organic do you recommend businesses to focus on? Like, do you go, look, get the fundamentals organic done first before doing paid? Or do you recommend do some paid so you can do some testing, A/B split on messaging? Or what's sort of your initial, I recognize every business is different, but do you have like a general idea of what that would look like for a everyday listener?
No, it's not just each business is different. You also got to adapt it to you as a founder. Some founders prefer one over the other.
So is there anything else that you can share with us that's really going to help us think ahead of where marketing is going? Like, what's the next thing outside of, like, maybe just a little hint of what you might be covering off in your conference that we can sort of end on, telling somebody a little bit of something that you feel is really interesting or hot or pay attention to right now?
Really go for an omni-channel approach. It's not hot. It's not sexy. No one cares to talk about it. If you leverage all the channels, you'll do really well. You used to be able to build a business just off of one channel that no longer exists. You need to leverage them all. It's not sexy. People don't care to talk about it, but that's the truth in the future.
Well, with that, I think we'll wrap up, and I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you getting on the show. I'd love to have you on again and do a deeper dive, should it be on a channel or another topic or something you're interested in. But thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Mahalo. Wow, that was an episode. Having Neil Patel, wow, we covered a lot of ground there. Just have a look up some of his content online. He has 350,000 followers on YouTube, hundreds of thousands on his Twitter feed, and I think it was like 326,000 or something like that. And he has blog alone is like over 1 million views a month. He's legit. There's really nobody that I'm aware of that has the complete package to the level of him. SEO, content marketing, pay-per-click, social media, display, e-commerce, email marketing, funnels, and strategy. Neil really is one of the guests who I couldn't be more stoked about, coming on the show and just touching on the different areas of social channels with us. So that was a great episode. I can't wait to have him back on, do a deep dive, like say on a particular channel, like I mentioned. But anyways, thanks you so much for tuning in. Check out the show notes. Please give me some love, show me some stars, and let me know what you think of the show. I really appreciate it. Until next time, mahalo.